Technical issues.
Do we want Rachel to continue the motion file?
If she would, that'd be great.
Really, the one doing the work is Myron.
Okay, then no, we don't want
But
Rachel.
we're a joint team.
We want Myra.
Okay. She said you could do it, but
If you want us
they
to
would be glad.
It's great, no, you're doing great.
So Queen Kappa.
Past presidents get shuffled off to the right and then just drop off.
Carol, did you want to count on U.S. Opens while you're...
Hey, Savon just rounded out.
Do you have it on the web?
Although I dispute the Chicago 73 thing.
Yeah, we have a list on the website.
But thanks.
Was that as far as the
Well, I asked Luis Salinas a couple of days ago, how many delegates from Texas are here? And he said 4. And I said, that's how many we have from Oklahoma here.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
Sorry. No.
Usually they don't have any.
Yeah, but I'm saying considering the size of the states.
One year you might have been down the phone.
Just what that's neat. But I mean, I've moved on to purple. I wouldn't call it great. But definitely tastes
Great
good.
wine.
Definitely tastes good.
We're in open discussion.
I thought you had some motions from closed session to read.
Right.
We're not
Usually we
expecting-
should.
Waiting for the reporters.
Anybody got any anecdotes or jokes?
I can report that the unofficial version of the minutes are on the website. Mike and I worked on them after the meeting, and they've been posted. So.
Where on the website under those, all
There.
those other documents?
They're hiding.
Did anybody write down a list of the past members from the deceased in the last
No,
one?
that we didn't have.
I thought you had a list. I know, but I thought I was writing them down because I was repeating them and everything.
Why don't you pencil those motions up?
Well, Lake Savon is going to hopefully
No,
check
no,
tonight
that's
to
not
see if
feel
he
like that it was-
I'll see if I can find it tonight. Well, that was done at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
All right. Oh wait, were you the one that was repeating all the names? Because I can't understand half the things that come out of your mouth with that Oklahoma accent.
now.
Can you play back the tape for Jim and see if he can decode it?
Are we recording?
Yeah, I'm available tonight also. If you're
Is this
really-
on? Yes.
You're getting low on batteries.
They're in my room.
Let's go with what we've got.
There we go. All right.
Pat, go to your
USCF Executive Board meeting, Orlando, Florida, August 7th, 2011, open session.
Oh, this should probably be a second paragraph.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And before we get started, if you're going to speak, please come to a microphone so that our recording device can pick up your questions or comments. The other thing I'd like to say is that Gary and myself have flights out, so if we leave, it's not because of anything anyone said in the meeting. We're catching a flight. Okay, Mike?
No love. No love.
Mike is going to report the results of the closed session.
We had 3 motions come out of the short closed session that was held right before this. The first one, the board moves the following for its 2011-2012 officers: Ruth Herring, President; Gary Walters, Vice President; Alan Priest, Vice President of Finance; Mike Neatman, Secretary. That was a 7-0 vote. Second motion was on committee liaisons. And I'll read the entire list, and what we did is we divided it by board members, so I'm going to read each board member's responsibilities, liaisonships. For Mike Atkins, it is the Military Committee, Rules, Senior, and TDCC. Jim Barry has the Kramer Awards Committee, Election, Outreach, Publications. Ruth Herring has International Affairs, Top Players, and Women's. Bill Goichberg has Awards, Clubs, Hall of Records, Ratings, U.S. Open, and Survey. Mike Neatman has the Barber Committee, Chess and Education, College, Denker, and Scholastic. Alan Priest has Audit, LMA, Finance, Professional Players Health and Benefit Fund, and Bylaws. Gary Walters has Correspondence, Ethics, States, Hall of Fame. It was approved by a motion of 7-0 in closed session. We need an open session vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0.
The third motion was on a couple of changes to committee chairs. We're only going to, at this time, list the ones that are changing. All others are either in flux, we don't have a name yet, or remain the same as last year. So the four that we have that have changed are as follows. It's an executive board motion here. For finance, the chair is to become Randy Bauer. The Denker Committee will be co-chairs between Dwayne Barber and Shelby Lorman. The Barber Committee's co-chairs will be Steve Schutt and John Haskell. And for Correspondence Committee, the chair there will be Brad Rogers. That was approved by a 7-0 vote in close.
Do we need to vote on this one? Okay. All
Yeah.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0.
Excuse me, Madam
Microphone,
President.
microphone.
I'm not sure you clicked the vote and open on the offices, which you should probably do as well.
Yes, I did.
They did? All right. We didn't hear it over here.
No.
We were advised that that hadn't been done.
We didn't, that's never been done before, but we could.
I think it'd be safer to do
We
it.
reported in open session the results.
Okay, we can go ahead and do that. So we're going to take a vote, repeating the vote in closed session on the selection of officers. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you, Harold.
So you're welcome.
Okay.
It should be separate assessments. Where is that?
Okay, the next item on the agenda is committee memberships. And so we're going to start with the Scholastic Committee.
There's just a couple, I'm just going to list the changes here on the page, okay? There's two people that are going off the committee and one is being added. The drops are Bob Millisets and Gerald Larson, and the addition is Sean Smith. All of their committee members will remain the same. I so move.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next is the Denker Committee.
The 2011-2012 Denker Committee will consist, as we stated before, Dwayne Barber and Shelby Lorman as chairs. The members of the committee will be Mitchell Denker, Harold Winston, Barbara DeMauro, Ralph Bowman, Tom Brownsville. I so move.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. The next committee is the Barber Committee.
I don't get arrested. 2011-2012 Dwayne Barber Tournament of K8 Champions Committee. As we stated before, Steve Schutt and John Haskell are co-chairs. The rest of the members of the committee will be Dwayne Barber, Harold Winston, Barbara DeMauro, and Ralph Bowman. So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. TDCC?
All right, Mike Atkins, the liaison, has given me the list of the complete list for TDCC members for 2011-2012. They are as follows: Tim Just, Chair; Jeff Wewell, Vice Chair; Guy Hoffman, Carol Jarecki, Joe Lux, John McCumsky, Mike Summers, is it? It's an M, right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Summers. Ernie Schlick, Edward Conroy, Charles Heatherill, Francisco Guadalupe, Ken Malou, Alex Relaya, Tom Langland, Tracy Bibbert, and Thad Rogers.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Rules Committee? Rules Committee?
Mike Atkins, the liaison, has given me the following lists for the 2011-2012 Rules Committee members: Dave Coons, Chair; Carol Jarecki, Ken Sloan, Andrew Thal, Frank Camerata, Ernie Schlick, Tim Just, Ken Baloo, Sivan Muradian.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Here.
You ready to do Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame committee will remain the same with one change, and it goes as follows. Harold Winston will remain as chair, and the members shall be John Donaldson, John McCrary, John Hilbert, Joel Benjamin, Arthur Bisdier, Shane Samol, Al Lawrence, Jennifer Shahade, and the new member will be Mitchell Dinger. I move that this committee be accepted.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get that list of names?
Yes, absolutely. Good luck reading.
Harold.
I didn't think that was so bad.
Bill Hall, would you like to make an announcement?
Are we ready for it?
They still got committee.
You still got committee? Okay.
I was just getting in the queue.
We have,
Just getting in the
I
queue.
was going to suggest adding Thad Rogers. Now I see he's really on the committee. Did you say he didn't want to be added?
He'll serve on two.
He'll serve on two?
Yes, sir.
Then I move that he added to the board.
That really too.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
They just did.
passes.
They added Pat
Any
Rogers
other
to the
committee
Clubs
business?
Committee. They added, yeah.
The Professional Players Health and Welfare Benefits Fund Committee. We had announced that John Donaldson would be the new chair of that committee. John McCrary has indicated that he felt his goal of establishing clear, legally sound procedures for considering applications and recommending grants had been completed, and therefore he no longer desired to serve on this committee. I think it would be in order for us to congratulate and thank John for his efforts in working on the fund. And in addition, he recommends Jim Eade as a new committee member. That would make the committee members be John Donaldson as the chair, Steve Emmett, Dr. Anthony Sadie, and Jim Eade for the Professional Players Health Benefits Fund Committee. We don't have a fifth member at this time. We'll look to add one.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Any other committee business? Okay, Bill Hall, do you want to do your announcement?
It's a motion.
Oh, it's a motion, okay.
speak to it.
Okay.
That's fine.
This is a motion from Bill Hall. The USCF Executive Board recognizes the Chess Camp series published by Mongoose Press, Inc. as the official beginner's puzzle book series of the United States Chess Federation.
Discussion on that is the Mongoose Press has published a puzzle book series. Its first three versions are already in the marketplace. It's going to be, I believe, 7 total volumes. It fits a need very well out there that has not been met by the marketplace. It targets, from the beginning volume, very basic, early beginning chess players. And we had the Scholastic Council take a look at the puzzle book series too, and we got some very positive feedback. I believe one member mentioned that he had already incorporated it into his program that he uses with kids and was very pleased with it. I was so pleased with it that we also made a combined three-way deal with our technology partners to produce the Chess Camp series as an iPad app. And it is in the marketplace and has been so for about a month, and our big splashy promotional campaign is going to be hitting in about a month or so relating to that. So we're very excited about our first app actually being in the marketplace. But this puzzle book series, I think it's very worthy of that designation, and there is a minor royalty agreement associated with the U.S. Chess Federation for that endorsement.
Questions or discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. There was one other piece of business from the closed session that we didn't announce yet, so I'll go ahead and announce it now. We've decided to hold the next executive board meeting November 12 and 13 at the Kings Island, Ohio. Okay. Next on the agenda, refer to the executive board committee to review dues structure. We want to create a committee, yes. Discussion? Volunteers?
I would definitely look at that.
The timing isn't really that good since we're just doing a lot of study and this and we're just making changes. Might be better timing later in the year after we're actually starting the new news and we've gotten more of a feel for how well it works.
Doug, can you speak up because the microphone?
Yeah, the timing is not that good because we've just finished doing a lot of study and just finished changing some dues, and now we're going to be implementing dues changes. I think it's probably more appropriate to wait until we actually have put the changes into effect and getting some more feedback and some better feel about how the changes are working.
First of all, I think, finance certainly has to be included in that committee, and I think we also need to include some folks who have been deeply involved in the finance structure and the finance committee in the past. So I think we need to add Chuck Unruh to that as the former chair of the finance committee, who's been pretty involved with those numbers, and perhaps even Randy Bauer. Now, having said that, I understand what you say, Bill, about it being we're in the middle of changing dues structure, but I think what came out of our delegates meeting was a desire for us to talk to our members in some ways and discuss some ideas about some difference. And I think there are just some fundamental things about our dues structure that we can go ahead and talk to members now. I don't think the sense that I got from the meeting that we just concluded was not so much talking to the members about whether it makes sense to change dues by $1 or $2, but just a fundamental overhaul of some of the dues structure issues. And those are issues that I think we can go ahead and discuss now and start gathering information. Part of it is talking to our members and providing, in some way or another, through email survey or other types of survey, we can talk about in the committee whether it needs to be scientific and statistical and all that stuff. But we got to talk to our members and get some more information from them and see what they're thinking. And I think it's appropriate to do that. And I don't think it has to wait to do that. You know, what needs to wait is maybe if we're going to tinker with dues, then we can wait to make that decision. But I envision gathering information taking a little bit, taking a little while, and I don't know why we can't start that.
I'm strongly in favor of starting to do surveying. I've been saying that at board meetings for some time.
Yes.
You know, and nothing has happened. Regarding the members of this committee, I still would rather at least think about it a little, because I'd like to see also represented on the committee organizers that have been bringing in a lot of members of different types, you know, some scholastic and some regular, some, you know, chess club. And, you know, I'm not sure offhand exactly who I suggest for all these, but I would like to see that type of person represented. You know, scholastic, tournament, and chess club, like those 3 areas, to have some people that have brought in a lot of memberships in those areas.
Garrett, Scott, I would like to ask that someone from the Scholastic Council, I think, should be on this committee. Who would you recommend? Tom?
Tom, probably.
Yeah.
Or Steve.
Steve's not on the council any longer, but...
Oh, that's right. Okay. Tom is probably best.
Okay. Tom Brownscombe, I think, would be a good choice to be added to the committee.
And thinking about club and rural areas and some other things like that, a young lady who I was proud was representing our great state of Kentucky here as a delegate, who filled my ear while she was sitting beside me about dues and dues issues. I think we ought to consider Tracy Vibert, who is a senior TD from Evansville, Indiana, and has a local club there. And Evansville is a town of about, 60 to 100,000 people, and it's in the middle of a rural area. And it's just, you know, I don't think it hurts to have this committee be big and broad, and like you were saying, Bill, and draw in a whole lot of thoughts and a whole lot of ideas. But she does a lot of scholastic work as well.
I'd just like to say that I would encourage the committee to start their study as soon as possible. I don't think we need to wait and see the effect of the dues changes to gather information and try to determine the best way to go in the future.
Yeah, so far as gathering information is concerned, I agree that we should start surveying as soon as possible, but not just on this, on a whole lot of issues. And I don't know why, you know, for so many years we've just assumed things, and there are just so many areas of the Federation where we don't really know what the members think, and, you know, it doesn't cost that much to do surveys by email.
Any other discussion?
And we may want to add some people to this list as we go on as well.
Probably suggest somebody.
Mike, do we need a motion to create a committee or?
Pardon?
Do we need a motion to create a committee?
Sure.
All right, I move that we create a committee to look at examine and study the dues structure committee members at this point, although will be added to, include Bill Hall, Bill Deutschberg, Alan Priest, Chuck Unruh. Are we naming Randy at this point or not?
Yes.
Randy Bauer, Tom Brownscombe, and Tracy Vibbert.
Name of the committee?
Dues structure
Study.
studies.
Dues study committee. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is ADM 1126. This is the patron
membership.
membership that was referred to the board. So I'll just read it, and then we can have some discussion. The proposal was to create a patron-level membership at $150 per year with the option of receiving Chess Life physically or not receiving one, with the difference in price of this membership versus a premium or regular membership being forwarded to the USCF General Operations account, USCF to actively promote through Chess Life Online, and email blasts. We probably need Bill Hall for this discussion.
While we're waiting for that, let me...
I'll go out in the hallway, see if I can find him.
Bill,
I'm just looking at the motion which Savannah made and Scott made. Yeah, we refer to the miserable promotion of the benefactor program by the USCF. I certainly agree with that. I've been complaining about that for some time. After we started the program, it took a long time before we even had a list of the benefactors anywhere. Then when we finally got the list, it wasn't being updated very quickly. Now finally, we have a list, and I think it's appearing regularly in Chess Life. I'm not sure where it is on the web. It may be someplace where it's noticed. But one of the suggestions that was made, which hasn't been done at all, is since we have so few, when somebody does become a benefactor, if he's willing, I think we should have a story on the website. We should have his picture there, and congratulations and thank you for helping to promote chess and helping USCF. And when you've only got 6 in the whole country, if you get 1 or 2 more, I think we should make a fuss about it. And something like this, I think it's probably going to be something like the gold and silver affiliates. When they were first started, for about 2 years or so, there were just hardly any. And then at some point, it seemed like it had reached, the critical mass, and reached a point where suddenly some of the organizations, the clubs and state associations started to care about it. Now we have a reasonable number. I think it's still far from what we could have, but now it's actually a decent source of income. I think we could do much, much better with the benefactor program. But I also think the idea of having a lower level, like a patron, is also a good idea. And that, in fact, when we started the benefactor, there was some talk about, we'll just start with this, and if this is working out okay, we might add some sort of a lower level. I don't know what the price should be for the lower level. $150 strikes me as maybe not enough. I don't know. This might be something that would be interesting to address on the survey.
Bill Hall's working on the Boy Scout project. He says he needs another 3 minutes and then he'll drop by.
So anyway, I agree with, I'm sorry, were you going to talk?
You go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that we do need to be very clear, very affirmative with how we're going to recognize these folks. I don't think it's that hard. Perhaps we read their names at the annual awards luncheon, very briefly, though God knows I don't want to lengthen that session. We post their names in Chess Life once a year, and perhaps we even have a special place for those who are in on the ground level as benefactors. The idea being to boost big numbers right up front for folks jumping on this. And I too don't know what the right level is. 150 strikes me as slightly low, but maybe not.
What we have now is 3,000.
Well, that's not...
I would like to be one of these people, but not at that level.
And it's 1,500 for life members.
Right.
And what's suggested is that we have a second level, which is much lower, and I think we probably should. And I think for the high level especially, I mean, you know, once a year in Chess Life isn't enough. I think we've got it to where it's every month. There's no promise that the every month will be permanent. It certainly will not be permanent. But I think as long as the number is, you know, 6 or 8 or 10, it should be every month. You know, someday if the number is 50 or 100, then, you know, then you're taking up quite a bit of space. And then you also don't need every month, because when it's that popular, you know, it creates sort of a bandwagon effect. The people that can afford it, it makes them think, yeah, I should be part of this. But right now, I think we have quite a few well-to-do people in the Federation who they have not got the message that they should be part of it.
I should add that once we have our 501c3 status, we will do a measured approach to this, and some of that may be for value, and some of that may be a charitable contribution.
Well, none of this is
well, if there's no value being returned, then it would all be a charitable contribution.
I mean, 1,500 is life membership, and the other 1,500 is all a donation. The only thing you get for the other 1,500, the only thing you're supposed to get for the other 1,500 is a special membership card. You know, something really nice, and that's been promised, and you know, it's never happened. So I mean, that's also obviously, you know, very poor promotion when you promise something and then there's nothing. And, you know, that was really going to be the only benefit. Although, I mean, probably the main benefit is you're just making a donation. But I've asked about the card, and I think at one point Bill Hall said they were working on it, but I haven't heard anything lately.
The logic behind the 150 that I picked was because it is 10% of what a life membership is. It's 10% of what the upgrade cost is to go from life membership to a benefactor membership. So that's where that 150 came from. Is it the right number? Maybe, maybe not. But the idea here is, because we did this in Illinois with our patron memberships, if you make that number still too high, then they're going to start shying away from it. If you make it too low, then you obviously take away the actual value. But it's at a point where it doesn't hurt the common person who we want to be able to draw that money out of. Now, I've talked to a lot of people that come into my chess center. Many of them, like myself as well, will never purchase a life membership because we don't see that it's an actual positive financial instrument for the Federation. I would rather give $150 a year, be recognized for it, because I'm not dying in 10 years, or I hope not, or 20 years. Neither are my kids who I would purchase this for. There's a lot of people that think that way, and they don't also care about a 501c3. I don't look for a 501c3 to be able to sit here and, you know, where I want to put any of my fees. One of the reasons why the gold and silver affiliate program suddenly started picking up was we removed one of the barriers to entry there, which was you have to sell a certain number of memberships. Now it's, you want to be a gold affiliate, plop down $500, you're a gold affiliate. We should have something similar like that that's very simple and easy to do. And I think $150, nobody is going to think about that because it's really over the course of a year. So it's not like something that you're coming at them every month. Believe me, these people spend $150 on a lot less important things.
This is not rocket science.
Exactly.
I mean, I know I'm from Kentucky and we're sort of backward, but we do have an opera and a theater and an orchestra, and I'm even a college graduate from 2 different universities, and each one of those sends me stuff every year, which lists, here are all our donors, and they don't have 2 levels, they have 10. And you can step up from one category to another, and they'll even send me a hat. They'll send me a hat from my university when I send them $50, and that's what you're talking about for value. We have a lot of stuff like that we can do. The issue is we need to talk about it and get it right and then get off our behinds and make it happen. I mean, and I don't think it's that hard. You throw it out there, you put it out there, you see what the response is, and you tweak, because it'll be different. It may be different from year to year. I know my college alumni associations thing is different from year to year. They have raised the levels to be called something or another. Whatever it is they call it. What we call it is not that important. Right. It really isn't. It's just put something out there and give people the chance. I'll guarantee you one thing. If we don't give people the chance, they won't do it. Right. If we do give people the chance, maybe some of them will do it, and that's better off than where we're at today.
And I think you could always introduce at a later time additional steps for a $500 level, a $750 level. And then you're starting to get them into that mindset of, maybe they will one day buy a benefactor membership. Start them off small, get them hooked on something. The value for the Federation is beginning to show much more now with the online play that's coming, the new Scholastic tools that are coming out for the iPad app. You're showing a value, so there is a value proposition here. It's no longer, hey, give the money so you could push wood over a board and get a rating. We've gone beyond that. So just give people an opportunity to give money, they'll give it.
Right, and I don't want to underemphasize the 501c3. When you start talking about $5,000, if I can get $5,000 for $3,000, I'm going to do it a lot faster.
That's true. I don't discount that, but I would probably guess there'd be a lot more people at the $150 level than there will be at the $5,000 level.
Right, at 150, it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Exactly.
And I'm glad to recognize that my colleague is in a higher tax bracket than I am, because it costs me more than that. I probably have more dependents, so that's okay.
By the way, I always choose 30% when I'm talking about individual income tax. It has nothing to do with where I am, I promise.
That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Spawn. Harry?
I would just, and maybe you can answer a question, or Gary can. How soon do you expect the C3 to hopefully happen?
I expect it by the end of the month, but we're going to have to talk to Bill Hall about that.
Well, again, Tennessee Chess is C3, and we have a patent program. And the one thing I would encourage you to do is now, even before your C3, take some time and work up a program, because basically, because we are C3, we got $1 million almost. And you never know. But you need, again, like Alan, I get enough duns from the university and have a dozen other C3 entities looking for money. And what you must have is a program in place. You can't, if you slip up and they think it's going to be in the magazine and it's not, you'll never get more, And you need to decide on a program. There should be a whole variety of levels, because you don't want to turn down the $1 million if, just find some nice perks for that. You may not get any, but if you got one, and I know you've gotten some nice estate donations, but because of the C3, you may very well get some if you got the program there before somebody dies, as Tennessee did. And again, don't do it piecemeal. Take the time to think up a good program, think up the different levels, be it 250, 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever, and the perks that go with it, And again, obviously, at one point, Tennessee had like 50 patron members, and then we got lax on doing the perks, and we lost basically all of them. So you've got to get your program in place before you start it, but I would encourage you to do, I don't know what your top level ought to be, but high enough that if somebody accidentally decides, hey, let's do this, that it will be meaningful to you.
Well, you may want to think about that top level a little bit, because we'll probably ask you to help us as we get closer.
I have plenty of C3s. I tell Harold that, you know, our local Cumberland County Chess Club is also C3, so I have plenty of dealings with C3s. But again, you know, you're not going to get it until you are C3, at least in the large donations. The 150 probably, most folk won't be able to itemize that would do that. But give serious thought. I think a patron program is wonderful once you're C3.
To answer the question about the status of the C3, the changes to the Articles of Incorporations, the process on that was started after the last meeting. The council that we had took another job with actually with the state of Illinois, and I didn't realize that it had not been completed until just about a week ago, when we were ready for submission of the application. So we had to scramble, and that was hand-delivered to the Secretary of State like 3 days ago, and they said it's a 5 to 7 day process for that to be filed. So within the next week or so, we should have the application filed.
Application filed
with the state of Illinois.
The state of Illinois won't resolve the tax status of the organization. That's an IRS file.
To explain that, I mean, but we have an Illinois piece that we have to put in order first, before we can go back to the Internal Revenue Service.
And we have no application pending before the Internal Revenue Service at this point?
We have one ready to go.
Okay, well, by the time the IRS gets it, it will be anywhere from 9 to 24 months before they rule on it. They're all done now, at least the last one I handled through there was through Atlanta, who handles all of them. And they don't do that overnight. Now,
I thought regional offices handled.
It's done centrally. So, but regardless, it won't happen just because we make this change at Illinois on the Articles of Incorporation. Don't expect that the IRS will rule on it in any time in a real hurry, because that's an area that they don't tend to rule in a real hurry. Besides the fact that the IRS, due to an act of Congress, just removed 25,000 501c3s for failure to file a new postcard size 990, and 1 or 2 of those are reapplying, like 5,000 or 6,000 of them, and they're all hitting those 5 people in Atlanta that do that. So there's we need to rush to try to get ahead of that list.
I think when this issue of sustaining memberships and life memberships came up 4 hours ago, I thought it was Bill Hall, but it might have been Bill Goichberg who had the comment that it was a reporting nightmare. Did I hear that correctly? And if so, are we getting back into the reporting nightmare problem again?
It's not so much a reporting nightmare, it's more of an administrative nightmare of people forgetting it for a year or 2 or 3 and coming to me and saying, oh, please reinstate me. And it's a real hassle. I mean, it was a bit of a pain on the reporting side, and it is one less membership that we have to deal with. It was, there was a lot of consideration to completely doing away with the life member status at all, but there was some resistance to that. So kind of the compromise was doing away with the sustaining and raising the fee on the life membership to $1,500.
But that issue is because you were collecting a payment on a membership over a 10-year period. And so what happens if Fred doesn't write a check in year 6?
Exactly.
These are only 1-year members, 1-year patron memberships that we're talking about on this.
I think he was referring back to the previous question.
I know, that's what the difference is, though. This is, I think, Savant's proposal. These are 1-year gigs.
1-year gigs.
You know, so you'd be a patron member this year and not next year.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't see any particular problem with the recording issue on this.
I'm thinking that what we need to do here is to get a group of people to work up a program, as Harry suggested. I'm wondering if Harry would be willing to volunteer to be part of that group.
No good deed goes unpunished, Harry.
I would be willing to be a part of a committee, yes. But again, I think really the executive board will be a better, the board as a whole can decide what the perks are because you know what you can afford to give away. Alan can, obviously has got to be involved to say the financial impact if you give away a keychain to everybody that gives you 500 or whatever. You know more what you can do, and particularly since you're in the book selling business, so to speak, with USCF sales, you've got tons of things you can do, and what you obviously need to try and do is give something that will attract the average member to maybe cough up $100 or $150 or $200 because they want to get that keychain or that whatever.
And you know, it's funny you mentioned keychain because if you're a member of the U.S. Golf Association, at a certain level, you get a bag tag. If you get it to the next level, you get the bag tag and a hat. You know, I mean, we're not talking about break-the-bank type of items in most cases. And it's amazing how much people will write a little bit higher check to get the damn hat. You know, it's just, it's not that, it is, I know what you're saying about you got to study and get it, but it's sort of not that complicated either because you throw it out there at different levels and see what the response is and you can tweak it from there. So I'm agreeing with you though, Harry. I'm not.
Yeah, I would think the executive board really could just do it by themselves, you know, rather than create more committees, to be honest.
Okay, who wants to work on this?
I mean, the office is going to have to do most part.
The office?
But we'll come up with some numbers for you as far as what things cost and some potential ideas that the board can kind of give direction which way to go.
Bill Goichberg volunteered. Yeah, I can be part of this. I did something like this already.
Okay. So you're volunteering to put the plan together?
Along with
Correct, along with the office?
Just keep me in the loop, Phil.
Okay.
I'd like for us to keep Savon in the loop on it as well since it's his idea.
Okay. So we'll discuss this at the next board meeting to get an update and where your ideas are going on. Bill Hall? So next board meeting, we'll have an update on this with some proposals?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Next.
That needs to be an action item.
Action item, yes. For Bill Goichberg and Bill Hall in the office. Okay, next agenda item is privacy policy review, which was a suggestion from Mike Nolan. And Bill Hall, do you want to speak about this?
What was it? What was the question?
Well, a general comment that we need to review the privacy policy with regards to giving out possible personal information when we send out names and addresses, etc.
I'll yield to Mike Nolan.
Is that email?
Email wasn't in the list of things we give out. Mike, maybe you could clarify.
That's not limited to email. I know I've mentioned this to the board, or at least some members of the board, in email more than once. We have a privacy policy which is posted on the website. I think the last time there was any changes to it was 2-3 years ago. A question which comes to us periodically at the office is has to do with, you know, people who don't want their information out on the web, or some of them say they don't even want the fact that they played in the tournament out there on the web, and we kind of say, well, we can't do that exactly. But I think it would be prudent to review our privacy policies, especially with regards to minors, and to check with somebody who's an expert on the area with regards to information on minors on the web, and just general practice of there's a conflict between what people can request from a nonprofit association under Illinois law and probably what we can give away under federal and some state laws, and in some cases some international laws for people who live in other countries. And I think it would be wise to just have an idea of where are we legally, and especially with regards to minors.
Okay, this is an action item for the office.
I think they're going to have to contact counsel, but of some kind.
Right, and I think I would recommend appointing a subcommittee of the board to kind of study this, and we would need to be able to bring in counsel, and having some counsel on that subcommittee would probably be a good idea.
Okay, so we need a privacy policy subcommittee. And that would include the privacy policy on the site right now. Are there any other items that need to be reviewed?
Well, we have the privacy policy that's on the site. Another policy that we have, which is probably not particularly well publicized, is that a former member who can request us to remove their name from the MSA records. I think there are 6 or 7 that we have done this for. And what we do is we just flag that record, and then when you bring up their cross-table record or something other like it just says name removed by request. Now, should they rejoin the USCF, then we unset that flag and we show their name again. Because if they're playing in tournaments, we can't exactly not display their ratings and cross-table information on the website. There's just too much an opportunity for that to be abused.
Okay.
Sounds strange that non-members have more rights than members.
Valid point.
That's a council.
I got a...
That's kind of why we need to talk to council, so.
I got an email once from someone who used to be a member, and he said something like, I'm very upset because when people go to Google and type my name in, it shows that I played in this tournament in 2002. He didn't understand, he didn't explain why he was so upset, because I mean, it's not like he lost all his games or anything. His result was okay, but he said he was very upset. And I said, I'm sorry, we can't remove your name, but I can just change the spelling just a little bit. It looked the same, but it won't come up on a search. So he seemed to be satisfied with that.
I remember one specific email that we got that I'm pretty sure I shared with Bill Hall, of somebody who wrote, and this person is a elementary or middle school teacher, I forget which, and used to play in rated chess, 10, 15 years ago, when he was of that age. And he says, his students go out on the web and they say, hey, Mr. Larson's a 1300 player.
So let's name a committee. Gary left,
So
we'll
help put him on, he isn't here.
he'll be the chair of the
When
committee.
he looked at me, I'm sure he's excited about me.
He's out drafting his resignation.
Okay, so you're volunteering?
So, I mean, I did perfectly.
Okay, so maybe that's a committee of 3 with others, Bill Hall and Mike Nolan, that's appropriate. Okay, any discussion of the committee? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
6-0.
Gary says void.
Approved, 6-0. I'm going to turn this over to Mike because I've got a plane to catch.
Thank you, Madam President. This is going to be fun. I get to chair the meeting and take notes, so bear with me. All right, there's a couple of, actually there's a couple of scholastic things on the agenda that we needed to talk about. Bill Hall, you can correct me if I read this incorrectly or what we're doing here, if I missed something. There's been a request to slightly modify the World Youth Regulations that we put on the website for this year's tournament that will be held in Brazil in November. And the one thing, currently it states that at a national spring scholastic, if you win clear first place in the section, you are added to the World Youth team. What we want to do is to change that paragraph to read the following, as paragraph 5 in the regulations. Achieve a perfect 7-0 score or win first place in a championship section of the National Elementary Championship, National Junior High Championship, and National High School Championship. The reason for doing this is twofold. We actually had in one section this past year, two children that won, or two players that won the section at 7-0. And so that would have precluded them from going in the past with the past regulations because there wasn't a clear first. So clearly if they go 7-0, they didn't have the opportunity to knock each other off, so we wanted to add that phrase. The second part then is added to win first place in the championship section of an event, and that would be in addition to the regulations, in addition to the team. So as recommended by the Scholastic Council, I make that motion. Bill, you want to mention or say anything? Or?
I believe you covered everything. It's just, to clarify, this change would also make it so that just the first on tiebreak also is eligible, correct?
That's great.
Do we need to change any wording to make that clear?
Or win first place on tiebreaks.
Right. Yeah. Also to clarify there, if the first place on tiebreaks does not go, this does not mean that the person that was second place is given an opportunity to go. It's just strictly for the person who won first place in the event.
So is the change then, currently the wording was, or currently the understanding was that the first place player had an invitation, but the problem was if we had a clear first.
Had to be clear first.
Okay, so we're adding, instead of just clear first, if we have a tied for at a perfect score,
right,
anyone at that perfect score would go. And then if we have a tied for at something less than a perfect score, only the one who was first on tiebreaks?
That is my understanding, but I'm going to defer to Steve Shutt, who's on the Scholastic Council.
Does that include?
Can you come to the microphone, please, so it's recorded properly?
Does that also include the Danker and the Barber? We didn't mention those two. Danker and the Barber winners.
That's correct. That was requested by Dwayne separately from this. Yeah, paragraph 4 in the existing reads, if you win the U.S. Cadet, the Denker Tournament of High School Champions, or the Barber Tournament of KA Champions.
I would say that the office would probably be, it would probably be fine for the office to just say for this year and this year only, we're accepting that, and then we can clean up the policy afterwards. I know the council had supported that, so the office can go along with that. We're really only talking about one child this year because the other winner was already eligible. But we do need to get that in the regs. That's all.
Yes, yes.
Is that okay, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
And to clarify my understanding, this is effective for this year's qualifications?
Correct. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. What do we have? 5?
Yes.
5-0.
I don't know who's chairing this. Our president and vice president have left.
The president handed the microphone to me to chair the meeting. Take one of these minutes. Okay, next there's a request for some modifications to the Certified Chess Coach program. I'm handing out what was handed to me by the chair of that subcommittee. Okay, just so you know, as you're reading through this, this is the complete document. However, the strike through are words that are to be deleted. Bold and italicized are words to be added. There are some minor technical changes just to make the cleaning up the grammar a little bit. There is some substantive changes, for example, on page 2, and this flows throughout, I believe, throughout the document. Each applicant may start at level 1 and work their way up to the highest level for which they are qualified, or the applicant can apply directly to the highest level for which they believe they are qualified. That is a substantive change. There's also in several of the regulations there, if you look down below on chess coach level 1.2 on page 2, in bold, there's a letter of endorsement requirement, and we are adding that one possibility is for a player to be rated over 2,000 or above, over 2,000, as to be possible a person who can write a letter of endorsement for a potential chess coach, certified chess coach. I won't go through all of them because it's actually, some of the stuff is repeated in each level, so I won't go through that, so you can read that. On the next page, on level 3, which is the advanced chess coach, again, it allows you to apply directly for this level. Just a footnote, when the program went into place, there was a grandfather clause that allowed this, and then we took that away after, was it 1 year, guys? See, I think it was after 1 year we took it away. So this basically is allowing, and there's several complaints about that, coaches didn't know about it, had to start at the beginning. So this allows basically some grandfathering. You can jump into the middle. The advanced chess coach, you have to have 3 letters of endorsements if you're directly applying for this level, instead of the 1 if you're just bumping up from level 2. It also opens up the rate of 2,000 or above for an applicant. Notice also that starting at level 3, the costs, if you go directly to that level, it's $50 to apply instead of $25. Next page is level 4. There are similar types of language changes that are pretty well documented. 1, removal. This is the national coach, chess coach, which is level 4. And point 2, we're removing that the application must be submitted to the Scholastic Council. All the applications are going to the office and being forwarded to the committee. Point 6, we're removing the clause about having to serve as a term of office at their state, scholastic, or collegiate chess associations, or on a national committee, or USCF scholastic committee. And the cost, instead of just a straight $50, is going to be $25 for first time if they were previously at level 3 coach, or $50 if you're going directly to that level. And level 5 is on the last 2 pages. Similar changes made to that. One substantive change on that one. This is for the professional chess coach level. Point 5 is being added, and that deals with the ratings of players. There's some complaints about attending various events. So instead, national or collegiate scholastic events. So we are going to, based on grade, take a look at the rating level of the person's students. Change there. And last page, similar changes there on proof of service on a committee or state association, removing that. And I know you're just getting this, but if you have any questions, let me know.
What does this allow you to do?
The chess coach certification program was instigated a few years ago because in certain states there is a request for a national certification or some kind of certification for a person to go into a school setting. My own state of Wisconsin does not require it, so there's only 1 or 2 from Wisconsin that apply, but other states are much more popular for this. Okay. Basically, it's just kind of a rubber stamp to allow a person to get into a school, to act as a coach at that school. And also, I suppose if it's a private coach, the names are put on our website, so you can find out someone locally to, if you have a prodigy of a child that you want to coach, you can go out to the website and find a coach locally, that kind of thing. Any further questions?
What was the thinking that went behind saying that the candidate had to have played within the last 5 years, and then that's supposed to...
What page are you on?
I see that all
Bottom of 2.
It's the bottom of 2, but it's...
Yeah, okay. District coach level 2, for example, number 2, we did add here there must be a current USCF member, and then there had to been a clause in that same point that there had to be a tournament participation as a player within the last 5 years, and within the last 5 years has been taken out. Steve or Garrett want to comment on that? Garrett, can you go to the... Go
Quite a
ahead.
number of players who have aged out of tournament play, and they choose not to play because they have a high rating, not wanting to put it in jeopardy. And so they are coaching, but they are not playing actively, and they continue to coach have continued to coach for a number of years, even though they have not been playing in the USCF tournaments.
Thank you, Garrett. Any other questions or concerns? Everyone's still studying it, so I didn't want to push them. Rachel has a question, but we'll need you to get to the microphone, if you would, please, Rachel.
Hey, Mike, how many more topics you got?
Billions and billions. 1, 2, I have 3 on this list after this.
How much space on your list?
You're asking for general comments and
Yes.
questions?
Sure, go ahead, they're still
Thank
studying.
you. First, I want to commend this board for what you're doing with the puzzle books. That's wonderful, and I want to know, will they be available outside of USCF? For instance, through Amazon, at books, at bookstores or magazine racks, so we can get some outside visibility.
Bill Hall,
What's the ultimate plan with them?
the puzzle books, will they be available outside of USCF sales?
Oh, yeah, they're available now, widely distributed. They are also available through USCF sales. But
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
they're already widely available through many different distributors, also including USCF sales.
Amazon?
That's good. That's good.
I have no idea about Amazon. Probably.
Somebody's selling it, I'm sure Amazon needs to. Are there any further questions on the modifications to the Certified Chess Coach program as presented? We have to vote on the changes, so.
Changes of the certification.
Can I make the motion? I mean, I was going to make the motion, but since I'm chairing the meeting, I'm not sure I can. Okay. Okay. I move that we accept the changes as presented by the subcommittee chair, Ralph Bowman, as presented to the executive board to the Certified Chess Coach program. Seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, check. All right. Let's see here. Bill, do you want to talk about the affinity program? Give me a rest.
Mike, did you see the note recently that came into the office? Somebody complaining about the certified coach program because apparently they had a question about we could put the names of the coaches but not how to contact them.
There are several suggestions in that we are looking at incorporating.
That might fold into some of that privacy discussion stuff. So.
Exactly. It's really not so much a privacy issue, though, if they have to give us permission to do
right.
so.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much explicit if they're trying to be a chess coach.
Sorry.
Affinity programs, I mean, one of the things that the board has mentioned in the past that they wanted to get more into is finding affinity programs, and I actually have 2 or 3 that we are discussing about right now, and we've got a proposal for one right now, so expect to, I'm not going to get into the exact company name and all of that because I don't think that would be appropriate at this stage, but we have an affinity arrangement offered by an insurance company that actually represents multiple insurance companies, and the USCF would receive a certain amount, a pretty healthy certain amount for each quote, each qualified quote. In other words, someone that actually is willing to give them a driver's license number and stuff like that, so they can get a legitimate insurance quote, car insurance, home insurance, etc. And this is designed to be directed at a scholarship fund for scholastic players. So that's one of the things we've got working. There's a couple of other potential affinity programs that I have been having some discussions about. So we're excited about that. Is that enough obliviating to give you a rest? Is there another topic you want me to cover?
There's nothing, you didn't have anything specific or any proposals?
I have a specific proposal for the board in a little bit, but also I think it needs to be fleshed out. I have shared it with Gary so that he could give me some advice on a little bit more that we want to turn it into a more formal agreement. But it's I basically have an outline proposal from them, and we want a little more meat to it to make it a formal agreement.
All right, the next item on my agenda here is we have a proposal from the Illinois Chess Association to endorse a program and project that they are trying to get involved with the Chicago School Board. So what they're asking for is an endorsement from the board. I will report that the Scholastic Workshop discussed it briefly and voted to refer it to the executive board. I'll turn the floor over to Garrett Scott, who's one of the persons making the proposal as part of the committee.
I am part of the Illinois Chess Association board. The board has put together a proposal to present to the Chicago Public Schools. I think it should be noted that I am from 150 miles away from Chicago.